I wanted to be. Oh,
This is the way I want to be.
this is the way I wanted to be. Oh,
This is the way I want to be.
oh, I wanna be a ranger.
Oh, I wanna be a ranger. I wanna be a ranger. This is the way I want to be.
Welcome, dear viewers and listeners of SSBC. I invite you to follow this special highlight on the visit of the delegation of the Wildlife Conservation Forces to Jonglei State, led by the Deputy Director General of the Wildlife Conservation Forces, Lieutenant General Paul Judge, accompanied by Lieutenant General Agri Lasuwani, Assistant Director General for Law Enforcement. The aim of the visit is to launch the intensive campaign to educate citizens, especially local communities, about the importance of contributing to wildlife conservation, as well as mobilizing support of the political and military authorities in the state to contributing effectively to wildlife protection and minimizing poaching that is indiscriminately active in Jonglei State. Within the framework of this campaign, a force of 60 officers and non-commissioned officers from the operation unit of the Wildlife Conservation Forces moved to join the forces stationed in the state. During the joint QQ, Major General David Dengadola, Director of the Wildlife Conservation Forces in Jonglei State, addressed the wildlife parade about the course of the campaign, the role that the joint forces can play, and the method that should be used with the citizens. Major General Adola stressed the need to enforce the rule of law.
وكمان التأثير بتاعهم تأثير طريقة القاعدين يقتلوا بهم كازة في 3 مناطق mainly اللي هو بور تاون دوك and Panyagor, which is the Twitch is. الخطة اللي بتاعهم إنه ودى تأثير على المستوى بتاع العالم ما مستوى بتاع أفريقيا براو لأن العالم بقى إنه احتجاج بإنه على أساس يا جماعة نحن قاعدين نحافظ في الأيوان يلا في ناس قاعدين يلعبوا أيوان في جنوب السودان ليه؟ برنامج بتاعنا ليلة نتويا عشان نوريكم على أساس زملاء بتاعكم الجا من جوبا يا ده قدامكم هنا أهيجي يدوم معكم في البرنامج أننا جايين بيو عشان نوري الوا شعب تانا في جنغولي بينو على أساس إنه زمان أو في الزمن الفات إننا نكون قاعدين نلعب ثروة وتانا ولكن ثروة وتانا مهم عشان نوري لهم يا جماعة ثروة ده مهم لنا كناس بتاع جنغولي بالكوميونيتيز بتاعنا الموجود ومهم لنا كنانا جنوب السودان ومهم لنا كنانا في أفريقيا وكمان مهم لنا كنانا العالم ككل كمان عشان ما يكون في أسئلة في نص بتاع الغابة الأمور نص وارد اللي يجي فوقه لأنه كل ما زول يجي هيكونوا كمان كاي بروه بتاعه في نهاية ده لو كان جهزنا نفوسنا عشان انه نحن نقدر نستقبل الزوار الوجه في العالم ده كله والكمان انه الناس بتاعنا المحلي الناس اللي قاعدين معنا اننا خواجات معنا زي ما انه شفتوا مبارك اللي هو كومريد مايك بتاع افريكان بارك معنا ناس زي على اساس انه بيحاولوا عشان كمان يقدر يساعدنا في مجال ده. الطريقة الثانية ان احنا كنا زمان احنا كنا قاعدين نتكلم فوقه في زمن كنا في تحرير التحرير ده تحرير احنا كنا قاعدين نعمله ده ما في حاجة كان تاني قاعدين يحرروا ده هو الإنسان wala amwal bataw sarwa bataw ya unas kan gani ne shakil bew ashan nu kefa jade le kunin dana min wala al kashaf al gaid maana hini wala yuan al gaid maana wa samak al gaid maana wa turab al gaid maana wa tuyur al gaid maana da ya sarwa al bikhalli ajyal batakum bata bukura يستفيد به سو تحفيز بترسر وده مهم لجنوب السودان ده يا سبب انه الوداكم كاكي وداكم سلاح وداكم القروش وده يا سبب وتا وجود بتاعنا ليله عشان انه كيفيه نقدر نوري للناس على اساس انت حاجه انت قاعد لابيو ده مستقبل بتاع جيل بتاعك انت لو كان عندك جنة ليله لو كان جانا ده أكل ليلة بكرة ما في حاجة بياكله هيكون جانا ما يكون جانا سو الناس إلى أننا نستفيد بإنه وجود بتاع الأيوان ده بكل أسباب زمان هو كان كتير كان ما تأثر بطريقة أننا قاعدين نقتلوه لأنه كلنا كنا ما مسلحين ده طرق أننا قاعدين ناس فوقه نحن مسلحين له درجة زي سنونا في كشف متازول بالأنواع بتاع السلاح كلام ده زمان كان ما في وده يا زمان كان بيجي لكان يجي يكوجلك في بيت لكن هسه يا وننا قاعدين نطردو بالمواتر بالمسافات البعيدة زمان أبو نباه كان بيكون في جنب البيوت هنا في نوع بتاع ريوان لكن بيروتان دينغا بيقولوا بيور كتمبوري لكن في نوع تاع كتمبوري اثنين في الكتمبوري راسه طويل ده وده المايند راس سو زمان كان بياكل ذره لكن هسه كل ما دفت جزاته ما بتشوف شكله ولا كورينو ولا اي حاجه وجوده بيقى ما في إذا يوم داك لا يوان بيقول زبره ما بيزول زادوا في دنجل كان بياكلوا زبره هسه بيقى ما في الو مغوار كلو ينتهى في جنوب السودان وده يا مال كان كتير فوقه يوم ده كان عندنا بيقول الو تير كبير هاتريش الو نعم يوم ده كان بليف ساكت ليه درجه بتاع عيال سكرين كان بيعرفوا هسه انتهينا منه انا ما بكلم بافيال انا ما بكلم بالورد الجرين كله حاجات ما موجود ما كان يوم داخل سكاير اللي بيقولوا والغزال ولا ديب ده بيقى كله ما في شنو شعر برا وفي ناس بيقول على اساس انه قالوا والله حاجات في امون في وين ما انتهيناو خلصناو انا بجي نفتح في دول تاني ليه زي الناس اللي بجرجر مع كلام بتاع تيانغن ماشين بحاجه انا لو كان سالت زول وكر ولا دوك انت شفت ديك يوم واي وزاد ما شاف ديك لا انت يالتا سنين ده كل لو كان ما بيعرف ديك ما بيعرف فيل جناوه هيجي يقول شنو بكره.
After that, the wildlife delegation held a meeting with the deputy governor of Jonglei State at her residence in Bor, jointly with the state minister of animal resources and representative of the African Parks Network, where the deputy governor stressed the need to impose the rule of law to regulate hunting and protect wildlife and ensuring the state government's readiness to cooperate in protecting resources of economic and cultural value. And she said the illegal hunting is a key determinant of the status of the state.
The concern was about the rate of how as people of Jonglei are killing wildlife. And from that meeting, it was very clear that we are losing about 200 animals, wild animals. Is it Tiang or?
Yeah, both.
Both, all wild animals, like about 200 per week. So in a month, you will find that we are losing about 800. If you look at that rate, and you can imagine how many are born in that period, you find that we are exhausting our capacity as a state of maintaining the animals in our state. And what we saw last time in Juba, I think about 2 months ago, the launching of Buma, Badingilo and Jonglei landscape was something that we were all very proud of. And it is something that we have been wishing to continue to make sure that we take care of our animals. And we've said many times, and our people have been told that our issue is not that we are stopping people from eating the wild animals. It is to regulate it. You take a certain number of animals for feeding, but not as our people are doing, killing many animals for commercial purposes. This is very dangerous. So as we sat there, we talk about a lot of challenges facing us, especially from the state perspective. We are trying, at some times we have put people at the junction to make sure that we prevent people from coming into the town with wild animals. But we have challenges because when we look at our organized forces, sometimes they are overpowered by these hunters who come with the wild meat or bush meat, and the state is trying its best. So this is one challenge that we have, and of course it all comes down to economic reason that our people are giving. So when we sat down, we all agreed that there is a need for awareness, and this is the starting point. The African parks have been supporting South Sudan and even Jonglei in this case. So this is the decision that, of course, that is why they came, and as a state government, we told them that we will stand behind them 100% to make sure that we preserve our wildlife, to make sure that we also play a role. But this is not only the role of the state. We know the state government is supposed to be involved. We know our communities also, even national government, because even when these animals are taken, sometimes they reach up to Juba. So we wonder, how do they reach there? It shows that all of us have to do something about it. And also in this meeting, it was brought up that there is a need also to consider those areas that are for wildlife. For example, when there are farming activities, there are some areas that should not be touched because they are for the animals' migration. And this is also very important. Even this issue of the road, the main highway, it is also affecting our animals because in most cases you find that there are no crossing points to the other side to go and drink water. So there is a need for the whole government to also review some of these projects that are being done, putting into consideration the importance of wildlife. On the ground, at the level of the state, we managed to sit at the security committee, and this is where we come up on how to even make sure that the state government stops the poachers from bringing in the wild meat or the bush meat. And we tried that, but we were overpowered by the fact that there are a lot of guns or arms in the hands of our people, and they've continued to do the hunting. But you find that in such situations, they come in numbers, and when we try to, as a government, to approach them, they overpower us because they have more arms than even our security organs, and this becomes a challenge. So this is one of the steps that we did as a state government. We've also tried, whenever we get opportunities, to address our people, to tell them the importance of wildlife in our state and how we must protect it together with the government, help the government, and the government will also do its part to ensure that our natural resources are protected by the government. So that is one step, but I will say that it is not enough. We need to do more to make sure that we work together with partners who are supporting us, to work together with the national government to make sure that we go to where we want to be. But of course it is a concern, and it's alarming the rate that these wild animals are being killed. We know that we do not notice, but when people who are actually gathering information tell us the numbers or statistics, that's when we feel that, yeah, we need to do something sooner rather than later.
For his part, Lieutenant General Paul Touch, the Deputy Director General of the Wildlife Conservation Forces, explained that the wildlife conservation is everyone's responsibility for bright tourism future for the country.
نحن في ميشن بتاع انه تنفيذ القانون لحماية الحيوانات بالذات. الحيوانات دي طبعا ده ثروة قومية ومسؤولية بتاعت كل القطاعات في المجتمع، الحكومة بالإضافة للوحدات النظامية والمجتمع كله، لأنه يعني فائدة بتاعت الحيوان ده كله بترجع للمواطن بجنجوليه قلب الحكومة. يعني المنطقة هسه بقى واقعة في 2 ناشونال باركس وفي هجرة موسمية للحيوانات مثلا أو السبيشيز نادرة جدا، يمكن في شرق افريقيا ده كله ما في. عندنا وايري الكوب عندنا في جنوب السودان فقط، وفي ولاية جنجوليه بالذات عندنا تينغ، عندنا زراف. لكن العكس، بدل ما الناس تفهم انه حاجات ده حاجاتهم، بقى في صيد تجاري. الصيد التجاري ده يعني بعد شويه نلقى نفوسنا ما في حيوان في جنوب السودان مش في جنجوليه براو. سواء نحن كوحده المعنيه مستعدين لحمايه بتاعت الحيوانات دي، لانه هي ثروه قوميه، ونحن جينا السلطات بتاعت الولايه عشان ناخدهم في الصوره، يعني يساعدونا في كيفيه انه القانون هو قانون. نحن هنا جينا عشان نكلم الحكومه ونجتمع مع وحدات النظاميه والمواطنين والأمد والمشايخ لأهمية بتاعت الحيوان اللي بتجي من خلا جاي البحر، مش عشان يقتلوه. دار تقتل حيوان، دار حيوان تاخد إذن، يدوك تصريح، يوروك طريقة بتاعت أنه الحيوان ممكن تصطاد 200 ويأتي نوع من حيوان ممكن تصطاد. فهدف بتاعنا تثقيف وتنفيذ بتاعت قانون. عشان كده جينا لحكومة الولاية ومشكورين، لقينا عملية بتاعت مسؤولية بصورة كبيرة جدا، ونشكرهم على ذلك، ونشكر أهلنا وندي صوتي على عامة الناس، الوحدات النظامية العاملة في الولاية والمواطن الجنوبي القاعد في الولاية. الثروة ده ثروة بتاعك يا أخي، ما تقتله بطريقة أنت قاعد تقتله أبوده. ما مسموح لك تقتل قتل تجاري، مسموح لك ممكن يعني واحد بتصديق، لكن عشان عندك بندقية تمشي الغابة، غابة دي ناشونال بارك، تخش فوقه في ناس بيسالوك. فنتمنى انه تتعامل مع عساكر بتاعنا المتواجدين في كل محل، هيتم توزيع بتاع قوات بتاعنا في اي محل في الحظاير ده، وانت جزء منهم. فعليك انت تتعامل مع عساكر ده. انا وريناه انه هم المواطن بتلقاه شايل سلاح، انت يتكلم معه بكل الاسلوب اللي ممكن تخليه ما يحصل خسائر. الخطوه ثاني طبعا في باترول هيتم، في قوة بسيطة جات معنا نضم مع القوة في الولاية، هيعمل باترول في كل الكوريدوس اللي بيجيب الحيوان للبحر، لأن الحيوان ده جاي يشرب موية وجاي للمرعى بتاعه. فأنت ماشي جات ستيت هناك ده يا أخي وقف الصيد ده. أخير أنت تيجي المكتب بتاع ولاية في ضابط مسؤول بالستاف بتاعه بتعاملوا معك، يدوك تصريح. لو أنت محتاج للحم بدوك تصريح، ياتي نوع حيوان تضربه في ياتي زمن، لأنه في زمن ذاته مسموح لك ما تصيد فوقه، مسموح لك تصيد فوقه، مسموح لك ما تصيد فوقه. وده رسالة ممكن دار أقدمه لأهلنا كلنا أو في جنجوليه.
Jonglei State Minister of Animal Resources, Fisheries and Tourism, Sarah Peter Lual, reviewed the outcomes of the meeting, revealing her administration's intention to communicate with the local communities and educate them on the importance of wildlife protection.
تطرقنا في بعض المواضيع اللي بتخص الحياة البرية والمشاكل اللي بتواجه الحياة البرية وإيجاد الحلول. جنوب السودان من أكثر الدول المتمتعة بالموارد الطبيعية، ومن الموارد الطبيعية دي الثروة الحيوانية والسمكية. وولاية جنجوليه من أكثر الولايات اللي بتمتع بالثروة الحيوانية والسمكية، امتدادا للحياة البرية، بداية من بادنجلو وجبل بوما التي بتوجد فيها أنواع الحيوانات اللي ممكن يستفيد منها جنوب السودان. فنحن كوزارة وضعنا خطة عشان ننشر الوعي بعدم القتل أو الصيد العشوائي للحيوانات. ومن ضمن الخطط اللي احنا وضعنا انه في قوانين اللي احنا هنضعها، وقوانين دي هتكون ملزمة. ومن ضمن البرامج اللي احنا وضعناها برضو هنعمل برامج بتاع توعية عن طريق المجتمعات، ونعمل ورش عمل عشان نقدر نوعي الناس. فمن هنا نحن هنبدأ حملة توعية واسعة من كل المناطق بأهمية الثروة الحيوانية والحياة البرية وفائدتها لنا. ومن هنا أنا بناشد مواطنين جنوب السودان إنه ومواطنين جنجولي إنه يجيبوا ويساعدونا في نشر الوعي والتوعية وعدم الصيد العشوائي. السياحة كمان زي ما انتوا عارفين إنه دي جزء من الطرق اللي بيساعدنا بتزيد الدخل في جنوب السودان. فنحن عندنا مشاريع تنموية بتخص السياحة، ومن هنا بنناشد كل المستثمرين إنه يدون فرص عشان يجوا يستثمروا في جنوب السودان في ولاية جونغلي بالأخص.
SSBC followers, you are still following the special highlight on the visit of the delegation of the Wildlife Conservation Forces to Jonglei State, led by the Deputy Director General of the Wildlife Conservation Forces, Lieutenant General Paul Touch, accompanied by Lieutenant General Agri Lasuwani, Assistant Director General for Law Enforcement. In a second meeting, the delegation of the Wildlife Conservation Forces, led by the Deputy Director General, held a meeting with the political and military leadership of the Jonglei State. The meeting chaired by the Deputy Governor Atongkwal Manyangjok. The meeting aims to exchange views on how the law enforcement agencies can work jointly with wildlife forces. In the meeting, the Wildlife Forces and the African Parks Network, which is responsible for managing Boom and Badingila National Parks, as well as Jonglei Landscape, provided an enlightenment to the political and military leadership on illegal poaching activities and their impact on the future. After the meeting, Jonglei State Minister of Animal Resources, Fisheries and Tourism, Sarah Peter Luwal, revealed to the media the outcomes of the meeting.
تطرقنا في المواضيع الخاصة بالحياة البرية، وده من الحاجات المهمة لنا هنا في الولاية. في ولاية جونغلي من أكثر الولايات المتمتعة بالثروة الحيوانية اللي بتتمثل لنا في الحياة البرية. وشوفنا وناقشنا المشاكل اللي بتواجه الحياة البرية وإيجاد الحلول بالنسبة لها، لأنه جنوب السودان من أكثر الدول اللي بتتمتع بالموارد، والحياة البرية دي واحدة من الموارد بتاعتنا في جنوب السودان. ونحن طرقنا كيفية إيجاد الحلول عشان نقدر نحافظ على الموارد بتاعتنا. ومن ضمن الحاجات دي نحن وضعنا خطط كحكومة وكوزارة، وضعنا سياسات على أساس إنه نقدر نحل المشاكل الحاصلة في الولاية بخصوص الحياة البرية. رسالتي لمواطنين ولاية جونغلي إنه يهتموا بالثروة بتاعتنا بالحياة البرية، لأنه دي واحد من الموارد اللي نحن بنستفيد منها في المستقبل وحاليا، فلازم نحن نهتم بها. وأنا رسالتي برسلها رسالة خاصة للشباب إنه يهتموا بالثروة الحيوانية. ونحن كوزارة وضعنا خطط برضو سياسات وفي قوانين نحن وضعناه عشان نقدر نحاول نخفف من القطع العشوائي للحيوانات أو الصيد العشوائي.
For his part, the representative of the military units, commander of the 8th Infantry Division of the South Sudan's People's Defense Force, Major General Tut J. Hoth, reiterated the commitment of the state's military units to support the work of the wildlife forces and implement the directives of the country's high command.
What I've been presented now to the meeting, we came into agreement with almost whole of it, and we, the security forces who are here in Jonglei, we have actually acknowledged the essentiality of the animals, and then we will all be in a joint operations where we will be able to monitor the poaching the poaching within our locations, and also we would like also to coordinate with the people who are on the road to Juba to make sure also they help us with, the protections of the animals meat to be taken to Juba. That one, it has been actually into our knowledge that the animals are randomly being made or commercial by our citizens, and with ignorant that they don't even know that the animals are part and parcel of our economics of the country. As I said, we have acknowledged the essentiality of the animals, and actually it started with our CDF, and the CDF have wrote a message to each and every soldier across the country, and that one has been acknowledged and adopted by each and every commander in the field, and we are not allowing anybody to kill the animals. And we are still, protecting that integrity of our country to make sure that no animal are made as food in any level.
The representative of the African Parks Network, Dr. Mike Fay, spoke about the role of the network in supporting government efforts to protect wildlife, stressing the network's readiness to provide technical support.
Over the past year, we've been surveying the wildlife. We've been kind of trying to assess the situation with wildlife here in South Sudan in the Boma Badingalo Jonglei landscape east of the Nile. And we've discovered that that South Sudan in this landscape has over 6 million antelope, which is the largest population of antelope left on the entire Earth, on the entire planet. So one of the problems that we've encountered in South Sudan is as peace comes to the country and as roads are being built and people are able to move freely and cheaply, the ability of people to kill wildlife with motorcycles and to transport it quickly to Juba and to places outside of the country is growing very fast. And so this has created a major problem for this wildlife that has been around for thousands of years in South Sudan, where now the killing is going beyond the capacity of the wildlife to reproduce. So the populations are going down. And if this number of people poaching by motorcycles goes up, then the wildlife will disappear in a very short amount of time, probably within 5 years. So the role of African Parks is to help the ministry technically and operationally to bring systems in for wildlife management in South Sudan, and in particular the Boma Badingalo landscape, including law enforcement and help for how to organize and implement a law enforcement strategy. Also community conservancies and how we organize community conservancies, how we can bring communities to help manage their own wildlife. Not talking about stopping all exploitation of wildlife. People eat wildlife in the remote counties. The main problem we face right now here is the commercial exploitation of wildlife, which is not sustainable.
Major General David Dengadol, Director of the Jonglei State Wildlife Forces, expressed the gratitude of the state's officials for the understanding of the national duty and joint cooperation to protect the country's resources.
أنا المدير في جونغولي نحن شيلنا المسؤولية ده كل الوحدات الأمنية في جونغولي منتفق معنا عشان ندي توعية للوحدات بتاعنا العسكريين، وبعد الوحدات بتاعنا هنمشي سوا للمواطنين عشان نذكروا كلام بتاع الكتل بتاع يوان هيكون ممنوع زي ما انه الرئيس بتاعنا ذكروا في لونشينج بتاع Jonglei landscape and Boma and Badingalo. So now I'm assuring that to the public of South Sudan, it is a time to pick up and it is a time also to wake up. It is a time also to invest in a scientific way on our resources. So نحن بذكر عشان انه كل زول لو كان عنده زميله ولا عنده اخوه اللي كان بيعمل نفس الحركه اننا دايرين نكبره عشان هو الزمن بتاعه انتهى واننا دايرين ندي فرصه للقانون عشان انه ما يكون في نفس الطريقه اننا كنا بتعامل به او بقتل به الحيوانات. التشالنجز اللي هنا عندنا في وايلد لايف طبعا في حاجات اننا بقدر في كاباسيتي بتاعنا وفي حاجات اننا ما بقدر، انا ما بقدر في ستيت وما كانت الهير كوارتر اللي هو الناشونال وايلد لايف ما بقدروا. سو انه حاجات زي دي نحن كمان لسه نحن بنلزو للحكومه بتاعت جنوب السودان عشان انه كمان يقدر يساعدنا بالمعدات العسكريه لانه نحن ما بقدر نطلع ما في زول ممكن نمشي برا الا الحكومه بتاعت جنوب السودان يا بتجيب حاجات دي. سو في حاجات نحن بقدر في المقدره بتاعنا على المستوى ستيت وفي حاجات نحن كمان بقدروا كمستوى بتاع الوايلد لايف ناشونال وده نحن ما بقدروا ممكن انه نسهلوا الجفرمنت of South Sudan عشان انه to help us on that challenges.
Jonglei State Deputy Governor Tong Kwal Manyang praised the efforts of the leadership of the Ministry of Wildlife Conservation and Tourism and its partners African Parks Network. She added that the state will do whatever's needed to protect wildlife through legislations, awareness and law enforcement.
And that meeting was very important because it brought different stakeholders together, and we all know that although policies are there that need to be implemented, it needs all of these different sections to be involved to make sure that they are playing their role as especially security organs. And also we look into how we can involve the civilians, how we can involve as a government. And there are things that we will do as a state. Some will need the national government also to come in. And from that meeting, it was a good step towards doing things differently, especially the issue of poaching. It is a concern, and we all know as a state government, we are aware that there is a lot of poaching going on. And because of this meeting that we had, we saw the seriousness of it because the African Parks and the Director for Wildlife were able to give us the figures actually. We saw in their presentation about 200 animals are lost per week. That is about 800 animals per month. That is a very big number. So it is a concern to us, and as state leadership, we said that we must take an action now rather than wait for later. And from this meeting, we concluded that the security meeting will commence, and we will see how we can double our efforts, although it was already in place. But we feel that more need to be done for this to stop, because it's us as a state leadership or government that must take charge of all this. Us, we are to guide the civilians, we are the ones to guide the security organs and the direction that we want our state to take. So this is very important. That is how we will move forward. In regards to the other challenges, we will look onto some of them that we can address at our level. If there is anything beyond our capacity, this is where now we will sort outside support. But we feel that as we have the capability to do whatever we can within our capacity, especially the issue of awareness, that we can do. The issue of partial disarmament, that we can do as a state, and supporting the cause and directing the right people who can be doing that. Yeah, you can. I was going to be surprised.
The Assistant Director General of the Wildlife Conservation Forces for Law Enforcement, Lieutenant General Agrila Suwani, said the meeting formed the core value of Jonglei Wildlife Mission.
Yes, are not new to me because they have been coming to me from all the states, complaining about uniforms, complaining about arms, complaining about all logistics. They are not really there, and these reports are reaching my director. My director is also aware of them. And what he assured us is that he's also running up and down with the other offices so that something works. And I hope in days to come we'll get all these logistics that are required in all the state offices. Yeah, we really like them. We really like them, but currently we don't have the capacity, but that doesn't mean we are not able to get them. We'll be getting them anytime. This meeting means a lot. It means a lot, particularly to my department as law enforcement. Jonglei, all over South Sudan, is known for its high-rate poaching, and we were looking for a way where to meet together as security organs, and the day is today. We met and we discussed a lot of issues. What I know through this meeting is that there is going to be another meeting after us here in Jonglei, bringing all the security organs together, and we'll discuss about how to stop meat selling or poaching in Jonglei. Like you heard when everyone was lamenting that meat is being sold along roadsides. And I feel when the security organs sit and they form a committee of security, I think they will come out with laws that will deter actually meat sellers or poachers on the roadside so that this thing ends. And I'm sure this meeting will mean a lot to law enforcement department.
Dear followers, let us conclude this highlight with the field visit of the delegation of the Wildlife Forces and Honorable James Guy Makur, Commissioner of Bor County of Jonglei State, to Baidit Payam, where the site designated by the county administrations and the local community to be fulcrum of the Wildlife Forces to monitor and track trials of hunters. It is worth mentioning that African Parks Network and the Wildlife Forces conducted an impact survey earlier this year with the county administrations, where Baidit Payam has been considered an important point in poaching activities.
But since I came, we have noticed some issues. We cannot happen again. So when African Park team came and assessed this place, this airport that can be used, then they will also manage to extend the road up to the highway. This will be assessed by the team, which location starting from Akolfe Buma, then Matiang Pala, this place where you can start the extension of the road, so that you go and make another road. And this place will be unplannable for this plane. So I hope for that. And also you can brief us and give us the notice as the government of Jonglei State that we are going to start operation, but this is our policy. So we can implement, we can sensitize to all the forces, the community comprised of 5 Payam here, then we have to give them an update. This is the law, we implement. Anybody not comply with it, it's simple. The same to your side, you can deploy also in the very Payam 3 or 5 members, so that there are people to give you early, daily update. But will go, like those who have motorbike, if somebody go without permission from the government, then this is. So I think that will cooperate because this is the government duties.
On that road.
Okay.
Because that one, it was an old road that proposed by those of Ganal, Jonglei Ganal plan. So that was the road used by them. So that road is still open for those poachers. So when they snitch from here, they immediately go up to that Baidit and then they branch. Going to Akur. There is a place called Akur. Okay. And there is also in Akur there is another airstrip like this. We have a force allocated to Bor County. So headed by the Brigadier Alier Birpam. So that post is actually a huge post.
Okay.
And if the commissioner now is actually trying to
to come to bite it, then that force immediately will actually to come to this side. Then it is where you can actually be directed, where to locate how many force to this, and then now to other payams. But mainly what we will do, we will allocate the outreach of the poachers, where the poachers has used as their route. So it is where now we will use this force to allocate, and then we'll also with approval of the commissioner and then the authority of the state.
That's it.
Because if it is we ourselves who allocate those points, then it may be the bring conflict between us and the authority. So we will actually ask permission from them when we identify the main route of the poachers. So that is what will take place.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of this special highlight on the visit of the delegation of the Wildlife Conservation Forces to Jonglei State, led by the Deputy Director General of the Wildlife Forces, Lieutenant General Paul Taj, accompanied by Lieutenant General Agrila Suwani, Assistant Director General of the Law Enforcement. The aim of the visit was to launch the intensive campaign to educate citizens, especially local communities, about the importance of contributing to wildlife conservation, as well as mobilizing support of the political and military authorities in the state to contributing effectively to wildlife protection and minimizing poaching. Until we meet again, thank you very much, and let us protect wildlife and preserve environment.
This is the way I wanted to be, oh.
This is the way I want to be.
This is the way I wanted to be, oh.
This is the way I want to be.
Oh, I wanna be a ranger.
Oh, I wanna be a ranger. Oh, I wanna be a ranger.
I wanted to be, oh.
This is the way I want to be.
This is the way I wanted to be, oh.
This is the way I want to be.
Oh, I wanna be a ranger.
Oh, I wanna be a ranger. Oh, I wanna be a ranger. This is the way I want to be.
Oh, I wanna be a ranger.
Oh, I wanna be a ranger. Oh, I wanna be a ranger. This is the way I want to be.
A chop chop, 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 a chop chop.